The group stage of the 2019 Copa America is winding down, and I'm here to talk about the final second round matches that were played in Group C between Uruguay and Japan, and we saw Chile taking on Ecuador. Uruguay and Japan played to an exciting but drama-filled 2-2 draw, and with that draw, Uruguay went up to 4 points, and with their superior goal difference, they have all but sealed a place in the next round. As for Japan, they deservedly pick up their first point of the tournament, and they would fancy themselves to go through as one of the best third place teams when they meet Ecuador for their final group fixture. So Japan has definitely showed us that their national setup has depth, because with this young and inexperienced team, they have definitely pushed these South American teams to the edge. As for the Chile-Ecuador game, the defending champions romped to a comfortable 2-1 victory over 10-man Ecuador, who has been quite poor at the tournament in my opinion. With that win, Chile go on top the table with 6 points, and they are guaranteed a place in the quarterfinals. As for Ecuador, they are yet to pick up any points at the tournament, but they are not yet out of it, because if they defeat Japan by a big margin and come in as one of the best third place teams, then they could also go through to the next round, but I think that is highly unlikely. So let's talk about the Uruguay versus Japan fixture first. That was the 8th meeting between Japan and Uruguay, with Uruguay winning 4, Japan winning 2, and 2 games ending in draws. The last time Japan defeated Uruguay was in the last fixture the two teams played in an international friendly last year, when Japan defeated Uruguay 4-3. I was actually expecting another game like that, but they robbed us. They sold us short. And before that, Japan hadn't beat Uruguay since 1996. As for Uruguay, Oscar Tabarez played a 4-4-2 formation with Muslera in goal. We had Cáceres, Jimenez, Godin, and Diego Laxalt at the back. On the wings, Nicolas Lodero and Nahitan Nandez. In the middle of the field, Lucas Torreira and Rodrigo Bentancur, and up top, the strike partnership of Edinson Cavani and Luis Suarez. Off the bench came Gonzalez, Arrascaeta, and Valverde. For Moriyasu and Japan, he played a 4-4-2 formation, and he made quite a bit of changes from the 4-0 loss to Chile. Kawashima, the goalkeeper, was one of those changes. We had Sugioka, Tomiyasu, Ueda, and Iwata at the back. Koji Miyashi on the wings, who scored a brace, along with Shoya Nakajima on the opposite flank, Itakura and Shibasaki in the middle of the field, and up top Hiroki Abe and Shinji Okazaki. Off the bench came Kubo and Ueda, who was quite impressive in the match versus Chile, and Yugo Tatsuta. For the first 20 minutes, the game was quite open, with both Japan and Uruguay carving out a few chances for themselves. It was definitely end-to-end stuff, but in my opinion, I think Japan had the brightest start. Uruguay just seemed a bit lethargic and tired at the back. For a team that is so well drilled defensively, they were allowing Japan to get behind on too many occasions. And around the 25th minute, Japan was rewarded for their unrelenting pressure. They played the ball out from the back, and the attack continued down the right flank. It was Koji Miyoshi taking on Diego Laxalt. He cut in from the right, outwitted the defender, took a shot from a tight angle to beat Muslera in goal. Japan were up 1-0. And I wasn't surprised that Japan scored first, because they looked very good in the first 25 minutes of the game. Uruguay just seemed a bit tired and flat-footed. Most of these players had very long seasons in Europe, but this Japanese team is a young and unproven team that is willing to just run for the entire game. Maybe not Shinji Okazaki, he's quite up there in age, but he does run for about 60 minutes because he never seemed to finish a game, right? But he did finish the game versus Uruguay. I guess it's because he didn't play much for Leicester City last season. But enough with the jokes. Despite Uruguay creating chances and getting a few shots off at goal, I was saying to myself that they're not looking too good, you know. Japan looks better. And then bam, VAR came to their rescue. It was Cavani attacking the ball in the box, and he was about to take a shot, but the defender came in the same time, and Cavani kicked the bottom of the defender's boot. Which happens, it does happen, and I don't think it's the defender's fault, like he was going for the ball. The referee referred to VAR, went, he looked at the screen, he came back, he pointed to the spot. I think that was a very, very harsh penalty. That should not have been given. Luis Suarez stepped up to the spot and he scored to level things for Uruguay. They were now back in the game and they looked like a refreshed team. With the penalty scored in the 32nd minute, Uruguay dominated the next 10 minutes of the game, with Cavani even hitting the crossbar from distance. He was quite unlucky in the game though. He should have scored at least once by then. For the last few minutes of the first half, even though though Japan was under immense pressure, they were still able to get behind Uruguay's backline, who, as I said, looked quite sluggish on the day. So the game went into the halftime break level 1-1. It was an even contest. It was quite an open game. It was quite enjoyable to watch as well. Early in the second half, we saw an instance where VAR doesn't really help you out at all times, when Shoya Nakajima was taken down in the box, and when the referee referred to VAR, he deemed it was not a foul. I don't understand how that was not a foul when the Cavani instance was a foul. I really don't get it, because that was a clear foul. That should have been a penalty. Definitely. Minutes after that, Uruguay continued to apply the pressure when Cavani got a shot off, but he put it over, and then Suarez had a shot for himself, which he also spewed wide. Then Cavani popped up once again with another chance, but he failed to chip the goalkeeper. And when I tell you I don't understand how Cavani didn't score in this game, I don't understand. Because he looks good. He looks good. He should have definitely stepped up to take that penalty early in the first half and not Luis Suarez, because he deserved the goal. Once again, Japan began to play themselves back in the game. It was just end-to-end stuff. It was Japan attacking, Uruguay attacking. Both teams enjoyed healthy spells of possession, and they were gearing up to give us something similar to that 4-3 result that happened the last time they met. Japan did get behind Uruguay's defense once again when a cross came in from the left-hand side. The header was saved by Muslera, but he parried the ball in the path of Koji Miyoshi, who put it in the back of the net to give Japan the lead once again. And at that time I was saying, oh my god, is Japan going to upset Uruguay today? Because it would have been an upset, because this is a weaker, a depleted Japanese team. And when I tell you the game was open, I'm not even exaggerating. Luis Suarez had another really good shot saved by goalkeeper Kawashima, and then Nicolas Lodeiro with a beautiful delivery from a corner was headed in by Jose Maria Jimenez, who always seemed to come up with the goods. The game was level once again. Exciting stuff in Brazil. After equalizing, Uruguay seemed to take control of the game. They had a few more chances where they even hit the post. Suarez had a shot put wide, but the game ended in a 2-2 draw. It was a valiant effort from Japan, and maybe they feel as if they deserved to win the game. They represented their nation very, very well to pick up their first point of the 2019 Copa America. Uruguay, I think, were very unlucky at times, but Japan, they defended quite well, and they dealt with most of the threats that Uruguay brought their way. Man of the match for me is definitely Koji Miyoshi. To score a brace against one of the favorite teams to win the tournament definitely deserve a round of applause from me. And you should also give him a round of applause, because he was freaking awesome. As for stats in this game, Uruguay had 29 shots at goal with 10 on target, 59% of the possession, 469 passes with a 73% pass accuracy. They committed 14 fouls, didn't pick up any yellow cards. As for Japan, they had 12 shots at goal with 3 on target, 41% of the possession, 344 passes with a 72% pass completion. They committed 20 fouls and picked up 2 yellow cards. It was a very exciting contest. We were all treated to a very, very good game. Uruguay will take on Chile on Monday, June the 24th, while for Japan, they will also take on Ecuador on the exact same day. For Uruguay, all they need is a draw and they will be in the next round. I think even if they lose the game, they will still qualify for the next round because they have a superior goal difference than Japan. Japan must win against Ecuador if they want to go through to the next round. I don't think 2 points will be enough to make it as one of the 2 best third place teams. So let's talk briefly about the Chile versus Ecuador fixture, in which Chile romped to a 2-1 win over 10-man Ecuador, who has been quite poor at the tournament in my opinion. And I think you feel the same way as well. Ecuador has just been one of the worst teams at the tournament. In their first match, Chile defeated Japan 4-0, and Ecuador, they lost to Uruguay 4-0. So after this win, Chile goes up to 6 points and they have guaranteed themselves a spot in the quarterfinals, while for Ecuador, I think those 2 losses might just ensure their elimination, but they are not yet out of it. They're still alive. This was the 44th meeting between Chile and Ecuador. Chile has won 30 of those fixtures, with Ecuador winning 12 and 12 matches ending in draws. As for lineups for Ecuador, Hernan Dario Gomez played a 4-1-4-1 formation with Dominguez in goal, with Velasco, Achille, Arboleda and Ramirez at the back. Ahead of them, Gruezo. Further up the field, Maida, Orejuelo, Mendez and Ibarra. And the lone man up top, Enner Valencia. Off the bench came Antonio Valencia, Preciado and Gades. For Ronaldo Rueda and Chile, he played a 4-3-3 formation with Arias in goal, Mauricio Isla, Gary Medel, Maripan and Juan Bocejero at the back. In the midfield, we saw Aranguiz, Pulgar and Arturo Vidal. On the right wing, we saw Jose Fuenzalida and the opposite side, Alexis Sanchez, with Eduardo Vargas playing as a center forward. Off the bench came Gonzalo Jara, Diaz and Hernandez. This game was quite a strange one because the first half was action-packed, but the second half was very pedestrian. After a very cagey start to the game, Chile took an early lead in the 8th minute through Jose Fuenzalida when he put in a loose ball from a corner that wasn't properly dealt with. After taking the lead, Chile looked quite comfortable and they enjoyed a really good spell of possession for the next 15 minutes or so. And against the run of play, Ecuador had a rare attack. They got in behind. There was a 1v1 situation with the goalkeeper. The ball got away a bit from the Ecuadorian attacker Mendez, and goalkeeper Arias swiped him out and the referee pointed to the spot. Or at least from what I recall, that's exactly what happened. Up stepped Enner Valencia, one of the most experienced players on the Ecuadorian team, to dispatch the ball to put Ecuador level again. And at that point in the game, we had only saw 2 shots each by both teams. So it's fair to say the game was an even contest because it was level once again. After equalizing, Ecuador began to play themselves back in the game. They looked quite good. And around the 48th minute mark, goalkeeper Arias almost got sent off when he swiped out the very same player. It was a VAR check for a possible red card, but in the end he was only shown a yellow. Ecuador did not do anything with the resulting free kick. At the back end of the first half, I think Ecuador looked really strong and they had played themselves back in the game. With the score being 1-1 at halftime, both teams know what they needed to do in the second. With Ecuador losing the first match, it was a no-brainer that they need to pick up 3 points in this match. As for Chile, they were just gonna go about their business and play their natural game. And they did so, and they were rewarded. After a nice build-up play, it was Aranguiz who crossed the ball in from the right to an unmarked Alexis Sanchez, who strangely put it past the goalkeeper. And I was like, wow, how did he manage to get that in the back of the net? But he did so somehow. Is Alexis Sanchez getting his touch back, guys? 2 goals in 2 games after a very horrible time at Man United. Guys, I think it's too early to call it. We will have to wait and see what happens in the next round when they meet tougher opponents, or even when they meet Uruguay. But I'm not gonna say that Sanchez is back just yet. So with that Sanchez goal, Chile took the lead and the game was quite boring for the remainder of the second half. The only dramatic thing that happened, Achille got sent off for deliberately hitting the player during an aerial duel, and that was just about it. So as for stats for the game, Ecuador 7 shots at goal, 2 on target, 54% of the possession. They had 381 passes with a 75% pass completion, 22 fouls, and they received 5 yellow cards. It was one physical game. For Chile, they had 10 shots at goal with 3 on target, 46% of the possession, 331 passes, 22 fouls, and they were shown 4 yellow cards. It was a very physical game, like most South American games are. I watched the game between Egypt and Zimbabwe yesterday, and it was so mild in terms of the game being very physical. 1 single yellow card was shown. 1. Imagine that happening in a South American game, like hardly. So with Chile going up to 6 points, they play Uruguay in their final group game, and that will be a match to look forward to. The game between Japan and Ecuador will also be an important one, because if Japan picks up a win, they could book themselves a place in the second round as well. Ecuador are not completely out of it. A big win versus Japan could see them go through as a possible best third place team. So Group C is still very much alive. So the group stage is winding down. The third round of matches will actually be played simultaneously. So no team could actually coerce in helping each other get through to the other round. So the group stage is almost done. Thank God. It's gonna get easier for me to cover the tournament in the knockout phase because we are gonna get less matches. So in the third round of matches, we will talk more about the next round. I don't want to talk too much about it right now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But guys, if you enjoy my coverage of the 2019 Copa America, consider hitting the subscribe button. Leave the video a fat thumbs up, and in the comment section down below, let me know if you think Alexis Sanchez will get his mojo back. Guys, until next time, I like to say thanks for watching. Peace out. Rich Squad.